Hey everyone, and welcome to the NintendoFuse Podcast. This is episode 292, recorded on May 21st, 2024, and we are live again. After a couple episodes of not being live, having to record ahead of time, we are back live. And on this episode, we're going to be talking all about the Switch Successor news and a lot more to discuss on this episode. My name is Steve, and of course, I am joined by Barry. Barry, how's it going?
Hey everybody, it's wonderful to be back live. It feels surreal. The last few times we've recorded, it's been middle of the day. It's been nice. Stuff to do afterwards. Now it's like it's nighttime. I'm eating dinner. I'm like, oh, I got to record a podcast. I haven't done this in a while. This is new.
It feels so new, even though we're 292 episodes in.
That's right.
And also joined by Greg. Greg, how you doing?
Doing pretty good. I was waiting for Steve to make one of his accidental cuts like we did on the pre-recorded, like the blurbs, like, oh, wait, gotta start over again.
You're not supposed to tell him that.
What's today again? May 20th? No?
I'm Traveling Steve is back.
It's weird how going live puts this pressure on me to get things right the first time. And typically I'll do so much better at the intro when we're live than recording ahead of time. Take 3, take 4, take 5. But yeah, we go live. I'm like, okay, we have to be on. We don't get any other takes on this. Yep. Yeah. Well, accuracy may not actually make its way into the live show, but at least I won't do too many flubs and mess up all these different things I mess up in the pre-records. But also, hey to Jakester and others who are joining us live in the chat. Thank you so much for jumping in the live chat. If you've never joined us live for an episode when we do go live, which is typically every other Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Time, you can jump in there. We stream on both Twitch and YouTube, and the video version is available on our YouTube channel after the fact, as well as all the audio version being available on all your podcast apps. So be sure to subscribe while you're over there on either YouTube or your podcast app, and that way you get the episodes right as soon as they're published, and also any other videos we post on our YouTube channel, including gameplay and industry talks, and all these are the things that we post from time to time. Make sure you get those as well. If you haven't joined us over on social media, we'd love to have you join us. Just follow us at NintendoFuse, and also join our Discord server, and you can see the link on the screen in the video version, but also in the YouTube description and the show notes for the podcast version. But yeah, we've got a growing community over there. It's always great to have conversations with you all in the Discord. What's Jakester saying? If I only knew the difference. I'm not sure exactly. I'm thinking he's probably talking about the difference between the live version and the recording, is my guess. But I don't really know. So explain yourself, Jakester. He's probably just making fun of me of like time traveling or something. It's probably what he's doing. So maybe I don't want to ask for an explanation. But yeah, thank you so much for jumping into the chat room and joining us for this episode. Like we said, we got a lot to discuss on this episode. But before we do any of that, let's jump into what we have been playing, and going to you first, Greg.
All right, so this has been a much busier week than the last two podcasts, thankfully. So I guess I'll get the fast stuff out of the way. So we'll be doing a number of game chats in the coming days or weeks. Week here. Sorry for my dogs that wanting to bark at the same time as I want to talk, of course. So that's the Gordian Quest, Lamasoft, Tadpole, Building Simulator, Wizardry 6. Are some of the games that we'll be talking more in depth down the line, but some of the stuff that is not that I have been playing. I just finally checked out the Cat Quest 3 demo, so I think it went live after the Indie World, and then I downloaded it because that looked very intriguing, and holy cow, like that was like a top-down like Zelda game. It was so much fun. It was like you're like going into like battle like some of these pirate monsters, like bad guys and stuff, and you don't jump or anything, but you still have to like solve puzzles and push blocks and talk to NPCs, and there's just so much great cat humor into it too. Like they talk about like the pirate and whatever, like for like the bad guys, like a giant rat or whatever, and they even threw in some like dog puns because you like go to like a little thing and then the dog upgrades your weapons and stuff, and so he's like all nice and friendly to you. So that's really cool the way they like kind of worked in those kind of dynamics. Like a lot of the cartoons that we grew up with all started with cats, dogs, and like mice. It seems like a lot of shows had that. So it's really cool. That looks at some really great writing and story. So I'm excited to play more, and I've already like pre-ordered it to download once it comes out later in August.
Did you play the
Another
first
demo,
two?
I did not know.
Oh, they're great too.
Yeah, I'm gonna be definitely trying to check those out. I think that they're on Switch already. I think
Yeah,
we
they've been on
discussed
Switch
that
for a
last
while.
time. So I was probably gonna be checking those out once I push through some of the other games on my list to lead up to the third one's release. But yeah, I also checked out the Europa demo. That's another kind of like adventure style game, like somewhat open world, and that one was also a lot of fun to play. Like you're just kind of trying to collect some pages to like this little book thing. It's almost kind of like that Highlands game that we reviewed, where it's kind of like a little adventure trying to catch up with like your grandfather. Like went to this like certain island, but like he like kind of leaves some like journal notes to kind of help you along your journey, and then like it's pretty much just like open world exploration type style of trying to find out where you're going and going to figure out how to get there, like just jumping and kind of climbing up mountains and stuff. It's kind of like 2.5D. It's not like quite like full like 3D, and you're just dropped like in the giant open world like a sandbox thing, but it's still like a guided path where like it's more like Super Mario 3D World, where like the level's like a little bit bigger, but it's kind of like you could still kind of create your own path as you go through. So that was a lot of fun. I'm still undetermined if I'll end up buying that one or not, but it was pretty fun from the demo that I played through to the complete end of the demo. Then I also picked up Little Kitty Big City, so that one was also covered in the last Indie World that I was pre-mentioned, and I actually beat it last night. So I didn't realize it was kind of that short of a game, but I did reunite the kitty back home to his condo that's like this really tall building. So essentially, that one is kind of like a Breath of the Wild, but as a cat and much more smaller map. So like you're trying to figure out like where you need to go, and you can go around all around the city, help different little animals with their issues and stuff, and you can also like play like a Untitled Goose Game type angle and like trip humans and stuff and steal their phones and other things like that. You can even like have them drop like a sandwich or a bagel, and then you can grab it to try to like use it as bait for birds, and then you can catch and release different birds and stuff. So that's, I guess it's technically the same bird, but they always will drop feathers or like currency and stuff like that after you catch and release it. But it's a cute little game and had a really cool storyline, and I did like how they kind of wrote everything in together. Like so, even like some of the animals kind of reference some of the things that you like had completed and everything. So it's like it is like a somewhat of a story, like cohesive story to it. So that was kind of neat that how they kind of linked everything together. And then actually on my emulation device that Steve reported that we talked about last time too, I was playing Dragon Warrior 3. That was still continuing onwards. I haven't played that since the NES. I still have it down here on my shelf behind me somewhere, but I'm just playing it on here for the convenience of having a fully portable. So it's just been, I have a lot of fun reliving those memories and re-enjoying that game. And then on mobile, still playing some Roblox games with my daughter, like the Adopt Me game that I keep bringing up, along with Proliferating Pirates. It's like a different, like a battleship style game with a bunch of different players, like a Fortnite style, and you just have to destroy each other's ships and stuff. It's pretty cool thing to be able to do there, where you can fly planes and boats and stuff to use your cannons to attack the other people's ships. And then also was still playing the Sour Patch game. They released a few more Sour Patch Kids to find in that game as well too. But yeah, that's mostly outside of the normal stuff. Yeah, that's what I've been up to.
Cool. In the chat, it looks like JC Glenn's been playing the Angry Video Game Nerd Deluxe on Switch and enjoying it. And then Jakester is one story away from finishing a Live Alive remake. and played Fire Emblem Engage and did the impossible by starting Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. And there's been a lot of chatting in there. Did I miss anything? I think they're just talking further about those games.
The Alive and stuff. I think Jesse was talking about too.
Cool.
Oh, Jesse was doing Vampire Survivors.
Oh, Vampire Survivors. Yep.
Cool. And the DLC for that.
Cool. Yeah, let us know what you've been playing in the chat if you're listening or watching live right now. But if not, be sure to let us know in the YouTube comments or throw that on Discord as well. We love hearing what you guys are playing, what you're enjoying, what you're not enjoying as well. Barry, what have you been playing over the last couple weeks?
So on the Switch, doing still Pokemon Unite. Went back to Pokemon Scarlet for a raid, a 7-star raid. Went back to Tetris 99 because I did the Endless Ocean Cup, so I went and got that. Like Greg, played a couple games that we'll be talking about in game chats. That includes Wizardry 6, Proving Grounds, The Mad Overlord, Pac-Man, Mega Tunnel Battle, Chomp Champs, Building Simulator, and Zwanyan Sword 7, which I'm in the middle of doing right now. So all those will be game chats later on. Played a game called Nari Tower of Shirin, which is a point-and-click adventure game with like the art style. It's not Studio Ghibli, but it has something similar. Really, really cool. Talking about all these cats, as a lot of animals and cats and critters in this game. It's really, really lighthearted but charming at the same time. Then I played a game called Apex Heroines, which is, kind of like Bayonetta action style game where you play as a heroine, an anime heroine with different weapons. So there's a little bit of fan service, nothing that Steve wouldn't approve of though, which is good. And it's been a lot of fun, a lot of cool ways to use the different weapons. So I'm still working my way through that. Endless Ocean Luminous came out after the last podcast, or at least after we recorded the last podcast. So I played through that. I didn't 100% it. I'm less than 100 fish away from documenting everything. I've got 60 something out of the 99 tiles. Did a lot of online too. I did a lot of solo, a lot of online, and there was an event. I did the event. That was pretty cool. It's fun, it's relaxing, but it's not enough to make me want 100% because there's a lot of RNG, in order to get all 99. And the story is very basic. It is almost like an afterthought. And while I'm I'm on, I think 4.2, and then 5.1 is get all 99 tablets. The only reason I didn't do 4.2 is my game glitched. It's like, take a picture of this, and I took a picture, and I took 1,000 pictures, and my Switch is literally filled up with pictures of this damn fish, and it never registered. So I'm like, all right, I don't really care at this point. I'm moving on. But I do recommend it. It is fun, and it is a lot better online than it is solo, but sometimes it's nice to just do a solo dive, and I'm glad you have that option. Played a game called Tezuya Knight, Dracula's Revenge, which is a Castlevania-style game. Old school Castlevania, not Metroidvania, which is a lot of fun. Not terribly long. There's a casual difficulty, which I did, but I did have a lot of fun with it. On the PS5, I finished Stellar Blade. I don't think I finished it before the last podcast because we recorded it early, but I did finish it. I did have a lot of fun, and I wound up getting the best ending on accident. Like, I didn't try for it, but I just wound up getting the best ending. Very, very good game, though. PC, still doing Final Fantasy 14, is gearing up for Dawn Trail and getting ready for it. Mobile Mario Kart Tour, but because I didn't have like a really, really big game I wanted to play this week, I decided to do something video game related that I wanted to do for a while and I just haven't done, which is watch the Dragon Quest anime, which is something I didn't realize was there, as I'm a big Dragon Quest fan. It was a manga back in like the late 80s, early 90s, but just in 2020, I think it was, they did the full manga in it as an anime, which is Dragon Quest: The Legend of Dai, which there's a game on Switch, Infinity Strash, that came out last year based on the anime. And I was going to play it, and I heard it was and they said, just watch the anime, you'll get the better version of the story. So it's 100 episodes, and I sat down and in 2 weeks I watched 100 episodes, a lot of it with my son because it was just cartoons. And if you're a fan of Dragon Ball Z, And Dragon Quest, this is the anime for you because it's exactly what it feels like. Dragon Ball Z, but in the Dragon Quest world with all the Dragon Quest monsters and stuff. It was very good. It was very exciting, and I very much enjoyed it. I felt like a kid again, which is always good. So that took up the majority of my gaming time during the week because I really wanted to try and knock that out.
Cool. Yeah, Jixter's talking about. I do enjoy. Thanks for yeah, I do enjoy RPGs. Just don't have the time, but not some of the games that are out there that fall into certain categories that we have shared in other podcasts. So I won't talk about it right now. But yeah, I barely got. Yeah, I barely got any time for gaming this week. I've been slammed with so many other things, life and everything, all good stuff, but has left me with not a whole lot of time. But I did get some time with Kudzu and played that a lot when I was traveling and the flights and stuff like that. Played a little bit of Llama Soft as well. Played some more of Pac-Man, the Mega Tunnel Battle, Mega whatever champ thing. I really don't know why they have such a long name for this game, but I actually won. Like I won.
Oh, yeah,
I was so excited.
I've won it before too. Cool.
Yeah, it was kind of like my experience with doing Wordle. Like I played like one time and got it in 2 tries. I was like, all right, I'm done. So I haven't touched Pac-Man since I won. It's like I'm just staying on top.
Oh, you know how you said to us, I don't know if it was recorded or not, but you had no idea where this game came from, and we were all agreed. Apparently, it was a Stadia game, and that's why. So they brought it from the dead Stadia, which is great. I'm glad to see it not lost.
Yeah. It just kind of it came out of nowhere, and I was like, okay, I guess cool. But it's fun. I'm enjoying that. Of course, played some Rocket League, and played like there was time while I'm traveling. I haven't been playing on Switch at all, so I played before I started traveling on my Xbox. Then after I came back, tried to find a little bit of time here and there, and finally got some time to like really play like last night. It was like the first time I played in a while, but I played quite a bit, and then played some more Pokemon Go. Like that's been kind of my go-to thing, especially since I've been traveling, catching a lot of Pokemon. And man, like I'm tired of Pokemon, like it being such a money hungry thing, because if I keep maxing out how many Pokemon I have, I kept maxing out all the stuff that I can carry, and I knew it was a problem before, but it's just becoming a problem again. Like every time I turn around, I can't carry as much stuff, and I'm like, I don't want to use my stupid Poke coins on just increasing storage space. That sounds dumb. I want to use it on something good. So like I'm still playing, but I'm still annoyed by that.
That's one of the reasons I quit. Because if I played now, I would have like 1 space for Pokemon. I would have to sit there and delete all these Pokemon and turn them into candy, and I just don't want to do that.
Yeah. And then I'm playing a lot more Clash Royale, and just enjoying it. There's been some new things that have popped in with Clash Royale recently, and some of them are fun, some of them are dumb, but I'm still enjoying it, and got a group of friends that I'm playing with basically ever since it came out, and enjoying that on mobile as well. So yet again, let us know what you guys have been playing, either in the live chat right now or in the comments after the fact, or on YouTube, or over on our Discord channel as well. But before we move on to headlines, we just wanted to tell you about Magic Mind. Magic Mind is, let me get that little bottle in the shot there. This is a mental performance shot that is designed to help you get focused, mentally clear, motivated, and productive while reducing stress with mushroom nootropics and adaptogens, plus over 100% of your daily vitamin C and vitamin D per bottle. Magic Mind recently reached out to us and sent us a few shots of their product to basically try it for a few weeks before sponsoring this episode. So we've been drinking it for a few days. And Barry, have you seen it impact your gaming sessions and your daily life so far?
Yeah, somebody who doesn't drink caffeine. I don't drink coffee. So pretty much when I would take one of these a day, it gave me a ridiculous amount of energy that when my son was taking a nap, instead of just sitting there, being like, maybe I'll play a little bit, check on the phone, I was like hyper focused. I was like, no, I'm getting through these games. And I wish I could tell you all about exactly what I was, playing, because those are game chat games, but it really helped me focus down, and I think the game chats are going to benefit from that for sure.
Cool. Greg, has it had a similar impact on you?
Yeah, pretty much the same. So like I take mine with my morning coffee that is usually still around whatever 10, 11 a.m. my local time, and it still helps me like get through the rest of the workday and everything. So it does keep the concentration there to get that all done, and then I'm able to like pretty much log in to play Switch like afterwards and like all set to go, and feels like it really improved like concentration and stuff like that to be able to focus better on everything. So it was pretty great to have them send that out to us.
Yeah. Yeah, even though it's not designed to be a coffee replacement at all, because it can go with your morning routine, like Greg was saying. I stopped drinking coffee like 2 months ago, just out of the blue. But I've noticed that Magic Mind is providing me with some lasting energy. Like coffee would be like kind of a hit, like and be quick, but this is giving me lasting energy with like not the side effects of coffee, which I was getting. And I've been more lasting focus that I've noticed. In fact, the last couple of days, I think, Barry, you've told me before, there's times where all of a sudden you find yourself just hyper focused and able to like
Hmm.
do more things in the day. That was me today.
Yep.
All of a sudden I got focused and I cleared out an entire room and I was doing all this moving furniture here and there. I'm like, where did I get all this energy? I'm pretty sure
Yep.
it was from Magic Mind. I even had it was better for my gaming sessions. So like last night when I was playing Rocket League, all of a sudden I found myself so focused on the game, and I was playing better than I played in previous weeks. And I think that's partially due to do that as well. So if you're looking for something simple to help your focus for long gaming sessions or to just give you mental clarity and energy to fight Ganon or Bowser or simply just help your stress levels, check out Magic Mind. It's 100% safe. And so it's validated by a scientific advisory board of doctors and medical researchers for over 10 years. And you can order it online, but it's also available at Sprouts, Central Market, and Erewhon grocery stores. And there's no risk at all, which is really cool. If you don't like it, you can get a full 100% refund within 100 days of buying your stock. So we have also a great deal for you. If you head over to magicmind.com/NintendoFuse, you can check out everything that they have to offer and also get 48% off your subscription and 20% off a one-time purchase with the code NintendoFuse20. So NintendoFuse20 at checkout, and you'll get 48% off your first subscription or 20% off a one-time purchase with that code. And just head over to magicmind.com/NintendoFuse, and you'll find the link and a discount code in our YouTube video description and our podcast show notes. Let's head into our headlines, and we're going to kick it off with Greg. Let us know what's going on in the world of Nintendo.
All right, so we got a shadow drop over the last few weeks of announcement for the Nintendo Championships NES edition. So it'll be coming out on July 18th. There's a digital edition that you can pre-order now on the eShop, along with a physical version, which includes a replica cart that actually doesn't play the game, but it has like 13 different NES games featuring 150 plus some challenges within those 13 games. And that's games like Super Mario Brothers 1, 2, and 3, The Legend of Zelda and Adventure of Link, and a lot of your expected games from the Nintendo's copies games that actually published by Nintendo. That is not like Mega Man or anything like that. But you can be sure to check out this game on July 18th, as we got our July title for Nintendo Switch.
And speaking of games, Square Enix has been a long supporter of Nintendo, but lately their fiscal quarter wasn't that great. And one of the ways they're choosing to combat that is pursuing a multi-platform strategy that includes Nintendo platforms, PlayStation, Xbox, and PCs. It seems doing exclusive games hasn't been working out for them that well. They've given Nintendo exclusives before, such as Octopath Traveler, which is no longer published by Nintendo. Also, we talked about Live Alive, but it seems this time they're going to be bringing their games everywhere, which is great for Nintendo fans that missed out on some of the exclusives on other platforms. What's also interesting is they specifically state Nintendo platforms, meaning not just the Switch. So get your caps thinking.
Interesting. Well, on Nintendo Switch, you're going to celebrate the Game Boy's anniversary with 3 classic games that are now available to play on Nintendo Switch Online, including Super Mario Land, which has finally come to the Nintendo Switch Online. We got Super Mario Land 2, and I can't remember, do we have 3 yet?
No.
I don't believe we have 3, but 2 hopped on there right away. But now we have the first one to play along with Alleyway and Baseball. So if you have Nintendo Switch Online service, you can play Super Mario Land, Alleyway, and Baseball from the Game Boy.
So everyone might know that I absolutely love this game Super Mario Maker, but now a fan has gone and did the extra mile and made a Super Mario 64 Maker style game. So if you ever want to make your own 3D levels, actually using a 3D editor that has different tools that is pretty similar to like Mario Maker, but in using 3D levels and stuff, you can check out this fan-made project that you can make your own custom levels in Super Mario 64.
And while that is awesome, let's talk about something that might not be awesome. There's been a lot of acquisitions lately in the gaming industry, and that often leads to a lot of layoffs as well. Well, there was another one that just happened today, but it wasn't a game specifically or a game company. It was the entertainment side. IGN Entertainment just bought Gamer Network's digital brands. That includes GamesIndustry.biz, Eurogamer, Rock Paper Shotgun, VG247, and Dicebreaker. And unfortunately, by buying this, there are some duplicate jobs, which means layoffs have already started happening. So who knows how this is going to shape games journalism in the coming weeks, months, and years, but certainly putting a lot more under one giant umbrella.
Well, speaking of gaming companies doing some interesting things, we've talked about Embracer Group in the past, and Nintendo just bought someone from Embracer Group, a company by the name of Shiver Entertainment. And you may not know Shiver Entertainment, but they're really good at porting games to the Nintendo Switch. Some of those games have been not Mario Kart, Mortal Kombat 1, an entirely different game. Mortal Kombat 1 and Hogwarts Legacy. And Nintendo is going on the offense a little bit now, typically not happening, but yeah, maybe you can speculate what could be happening near the future of what this could bring. But going after a porting company, that could be good news for us Nintendo gamers.
Back on the downside of negative news, as of June 10th, you will no longer be able to post any screenshots or videos to X or Twitter, whatever you like to call it these days, from your Nintendo Switch's album, or even do any of the friend requests for anyone that you may follow or are friends with on the platform as well. So I think it's already been removed from PlayStation and Xbox, but now Nintendo has formally announced that it's will be also dropping the support and integration as of June 10th.
And funny enough, they posted it on X. So just not
That's
from the Nintendo Switch. Yeah. Greg, any follow-ups, any thoughts on any of these stories?
Yeah, the Nintendo Championship Edition, I've already pre-ordered the actual physical because I am a really good sucker for those NES carts. Like, I would have gotten the Fire Emblem one if there was more than like 10 copies available when they made those way back when, because they only wanted to sell it for a month and then pull it completely from the service too, even the digital version. But yeah, it's great to see that Square's going to be fully embracing Nintendo platforms once again. They had a very dominant Super Nintendo, and it's great to be able to welcome their full library of games back onto platforms once they start going through all the porting process and remaster, remix, and all that other stuff. So, for whatever reason, the Switch didn't get the Final Fantasy VII remakes, but maybe the Switch 2 might. You never know. It's really great that they're still adding games to the Game Boy NSO. I mean, we're still looking for lots more games, but I guess we might just take what we can get there. So Super Mario Land is finally available to play. I really wish that Nintendo would actually do something with the Super Mario Maker with having a Mario 64 version of it. I think that would be really cool. Who knows? Maybe they'll learn something and want to include that in Mario Maker 3. That can only hope. And yeah, then pretty much the other stories are kind of stinks for all the negative side. I mean, kind of expected like with the Twitter shutting, kind of getting more restrictive and charging money, and other platforms dropping support of it. So they're just trying to cut costs, and it's a lot easier to remove something that's not really paying lots of value or whatever. And obviously, when same thing with the acquisitions and stuff, it always stinks when other places get bought out and people lose jobs, but that's unfortunately a part of the business side of things. But at least Nintendo's acquisition should be proved a little bit more fruitful. They're not usually one to like just buy it and just shut it down completely. They'll actually probably get some good use out of it, and kind of like how they've done with Rare in the past, and also with Retro Studios and whatnot. So it'll be kind of cool to see what kind of things we can get ported over in the future.
It's true. Yeah, it's true. Especially thinking about the next Switch or the Nintendo console, which we're going to get into it just a little bit. We can speculate about that. Go in the chat real quick. Looks like Jakester's actually not happy about the Mario Kart 64 maker. He said that now we can create 3D hot garbage of your dreams. So
well, that was on the video that you were playing on screen.
Okay.
I think he was just kind of quoting what it said on the screen, but I also responded to him in the chat saying a lot of the Mario Maker YouTubers use the term hot garbage because there's lots of they call them even little Timmies that just kind of spam all the bunch of monsters or Bowsers or whatever at the start of the level, and then it makes some levels very unenjoyable to play and doesn't look very well. So then I think they kind of use the lingo that the streamers use for Mario Maker, and when they were making that the hot garbage, now you can do it in 3 dimensions kind of thing. So
got it. Okay,
I think it's a play on that.
Sense. Okay. For some reason, I was thinking he talked about in Discord before how he doesn't like Mario 64. I was thinking that's where he was coming from on that, but that totally makes sense. So looks like you guys are talking about how this could be good news for Square, kind of branching out as well. Not too happy about them, focusing so much on Sony over the years. So it's be nice to see their products come in everywhere. Barry, what do you think about all these stories?
Yeah, so starting with Nintendo World Championship, we talked about that last podcast, which is really ironic because it was announced the day after it aired, but we recorded several days prior. But it was virtually what we all kind of expected it to be, and I'm happy for it. I got my pre-order in. I'm glad they're actually doing a physical, which is cool. And I loved their trailer with all the champions, or all at least the contesters, and then the original 1990. I thought that was really well done. That could have been in a direct too, which is weird because that could have been, but it wasn't. So that's kind of interesting. As for Square-Enix, I think this is smart. Square is not known for making a lot of smart moves. That was not last year, but the year before that, 2022, they released 14 games between September and December, and then said our sales failed to hit expectations. And it's you cannibalized your own market. You put out way too many games way too quickly. You need to space them out. Now with all these exclusives, so many of these games have not hit the mark, and they're bigger games. Final Fantasy 16 was exclusive. Final Fantasy 7 remakes, both of them have been exclusive. Those games would sell better on other platforms. Final Fantasy 14 was PC and PS only, and that was pretty much exclusive. And now they made Xbox. Phil Spencer went to FanFest in America and they talked about how they're going to be doing this whole big deal with Square to get Square stuff on Xbox, and naturally they're doing it with Nintendo as well. And I'm glad they realize. I'm glad they're like, let's bring our games everywhere. I just wish they would learn to bring their games physical. Like they put out a brand new Saga game like 2 weeks ago, that's on the Switch, and it's digital only, and the only physical exists in Japan and no English. And it's like, come on,
Yeah.
give us some more, throw us a bone, put it in Asia at the very least. But we'll see what happens. Hopefully some new stuff. And like Greg alluded to, that they said Nintendo systems, so maybe we'll see those games like Final Fantasy 16 hit the Switch too, and maybe Final Fantasy 15 proper and stuff like that. So Dragon Quest 12. So we'll see what happens. The NSO games, I'm happy finally Mario Land is there. Not only is it a great game, but people always cry every time there's a Game Boy and it's not there. So I'm glad that that gives them one less thing to cry about. Be happy. It's the world of gaming. Be happy. Alleyway
Mm-hmm.
is also fantastic. So I'm really happy to be able to jump back into that. Mario 64 Maker is another example of fans doing what they want Nintendo to do. Whether or not that will translate to Nintendo doing it properly, I don't know. But they don't really seem to be giving much support to Mario Maker 2 anymore. So I don't know if they're working on Mario Maker 3 for the Switch 2, or they're like, all right, we're done with the Maker stuff, because they already stated they're not doing a Zelda Maker, which is why Super Dungeon Maker exists, because they're not doing it. As for the acquisitions, the IGN acquisition kind of sucks. I hate when people are losing their jobs like that. And Jakester also mentioned this in the chat. It's like a monopoly, and it is. They're becoming the be all end all. They're buying their competition, and that's not a good thing for an industry. So it sucks, but I guess we're gonna have no choice but to deal with it. As for the Shiver Entertainment, that came out of nowhere, but the more I think about it, the fact that they're letting them continue to do what they do, meaning we don't know if Shiver will even port to other systems as well. Like they might be like, yeah, we'll port to PlayStation and stuff. We're still getting money. Um, I know MK1 wasn't the best on Switch when it first came out, but the fact that it's even running on Switch is a miracle. Do I wish it was Panic Button? Yes, but maybe Panic Button didn't want to be bought, or their price was too high. They might have been able to get Shiver really, really cheap. Embracer's been liquidating studios like just wildfire. They're like, all right, we bought way too much, get rid of them. So this very well could have been like they could have picked it up for a steal. And Nintendo is very, very well known for putting out their games and optimizing their games for their system. And that's why Nintendo games have that extra polish. And third parties don't always get the same treatment because they don't know how to optimize their games for Switch, which is why you have, a Mario game is like, oh yeah, this Mario game is like 3 gig, and this other game with nothing game was like 4.5 gig. Wait, what? This was not optimized. So I'm hoping this helps them use Shiver to go to those companies and let us use Nintendo techniques to optimize your games, especially for the bigger third party games, to make sure those ports are the best. And if it's utilized that way, I'm very excited, because that means no longer will the Nintendo version be lesser. And then finally, the Twitter thing. I use Twitter all the time. I love Twitter. I will not call it X. It's still Twitter. I rarely used it from Nintendo Switch to Twitter, but it was nice to have. Sucks it's going away, but what can you do?
It's disappearing from everything else too.
It's gone from everything else, I believe.
Yep.
So
That's what I was saying. I remember seeing the stuff. That's why I mentioned that in the headline, saying it was already removed from PlayStation and Xbox.
Yep. And it's removed from our website as well. Like they pulled it off everything. Like you can only get there basically from the Twitter app itself or the Twitter website, and that's it. So kind of annoying, but what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Looks like we got some conversation in the chat, and trying to catch up here. Now how Jixter's asking now how long until Pokemon Red, Blue, Yellow, Gold, Silver, Crystal are coming to the NSO? That's a good question. That's a good question. I don't know. Be great because they can all integrate and share and trade and everything, but I don't know if it's going to happen or not.
Didn't they also not really hit the 3DS eShop either, though? Or maybe like one, or maybe,
Yeah.
or maybe
Pokemon
the
Blue,
first few of
Red,
them
and
did.
Yellow did.
Yeah, I think
but I'm
just
not.
the first ones. Yeah.
I think Crystal might have too. Crystal, Gold, and Silver might have
Okay.
also been there.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah, I was kind of unsure because I thought initially a lot of people were saying like, "Well, we have all these Game Boy games. Like, where's Pokemon?" I remember that being a topic back in the 3DS in a while,
I
and then I
don't.
do remember. Yeah, I do remember them adding the first three, but I don't remember if they did anything after past that.
Yeah, they. I believe they did. They definitely added the first three when they did the special 3DSs with the new 3DS, the small one with
Oh, yeah.
with the blue Blastoise and the red Charizard faceplates. But I have a feeling it's it's a Pokemon Company thing. Like Nintendo's probably like, we should do this, and Pokemon Company is just like, nah,
We don't like
and
money.
you're only 1/3, and we you know we put the foot down. Now we don't want to do that right now
There's
because it
always
is a
someone that
license
doesn't
thing.
like money.
Yep. Well, it depends what, how much would they get for that,
Sure.
because would Nintendo have to pay for that because they are 1/3 of the Pokemon Company, and it's brand recognition, but maybe they look at, well, if we give them red, blue, and yellow, people will be playing those instead of buying the next gen. But we're in a lull period anyways. Let's go.
It's true. I'm excited about Nintendo World Championships. Also pre-ordered mine as well. I think us three were chatting offline, and I was like traveling and busy in between work things, and all of a sudden I was like, I can't find the physical pre-order, and all of a sudden Barry threw out the Best Buy link, and I was like, buy. So
Why now?
got that pre-ordered. Yeah, pretty much. I had like 2 minutes between appointments, and I was like, quickly buy. But excited about that, and excited about anything that Square is branching out. That'd be good. And I'll probably play around with within the NSO games. It's always just fun to get more and more games added to that library. 64 Maker, I could take it or leave it, but it's cool that people have that ability to create that on their own, which is fun, and it'd be fun to see what other people make. And like you guys I'll just echo what you guys have said about IGN, and I'm optimistic about Nintendo purchasing Shiver. I think what you were saying, Barry, I think it'd be really interesting to think, okay, they've done a pretty good job of porting games over, but now if Nintendo is behind them and they've purchased them, now what can they do with Nintendo, stuff, resources and everything behind what they're doing. And so I think that could only make them better, hopefully. And that could lend itself then to what we're going to be talking about right now, which is our main discussion. And back on May 7th, Nintendo president Furukawa took to Twitter, speaking of Twitter and X, and said this. This is Furukawa, president of Nintendo. We will make an announcement about the successor to Nintendo Switch within this fiscal year. It will have been over 9 years since we announced the existence of Nintendo Switch back in March 2015. We will be holding a Nintendo Direct this June regarding the Nintendo Switch software lineup for the latter half of 2024, but please be aware that there will be no mention of the Nintendo Switch successor during that presentation. So we've got several different pieces there. We're going to kind of dissect it a little bit, but the first thing is that we're going to be getting an announcement about the Nintendo Switch successor. It's finally official. They're acknowledging it for all the world to see. The president of Nintendo has said it, and we're going to get an announcement this fiscal year, so we don't have to wait too long at all. And so what are you thinking about this, Greg? Like, what comes to mind is, you're like, is this finally going to happen? When's it going to happen? Were you like delighted or just kind of like a little skeptical? What are you thinking, Greg?
definitely very delighted that it happened, but obviously I wish they would have attached like a time frame for that. Be like, oh, we'll announce that in this fall, or we'll announce that in the winter, or something along those lines. Give it more specific would have been better. But um, I think we all kind of know that it was coming, so it's you pretty much have to kind of guess that it will be coming. But now it's nice to have that confirmation that they'll be covering that. So with also with the Nintendo Direct, was they don't usually even announce those this far in advance, so it's great to see that they're already committing to having one air next month already. So that'll be pretty much exciting to see what kind of stuff is coming out later this year.
Yeah. Barry, are you excited about an announcement?
Yeah, I am, because they're finally acknowledging it, and I know we've done our predictions, and well, like everybody else, it seems we were all like Switch 2 this year, Switch 2 this year, and then there was the whole rumors of delay, and now I'm I'm just gonna say 100. I'm 99% on there being a delay, and the reason I say that is because they said fiscal year, not year. If they said this year, it's coming in 2024, but because they said fiscal year ends the end of March of next year. So, because of that, that to me tells me we're going to see a repeat of the Switch because it worked so well. We're going to see an announcement in January, which is still within that fiscal year, for a launch early 2025. Because, and the main reason is because of the holiday season. If they make that announcement in 2024 for a 2025 launch, it will cannibalize their holiday sales. And they did state they wanted 13 million Switch units sold this fiscal year. So that's going to be harder to do, because they did it in 2016 where they did that little teaser for the NX, which became the Switch. But the difference is the Wii U was virtually dead at that point. The sales were crap. They had nothing to lose. The Switch is still selling well. They're not going to cannibalize it. So that definitely, this confirmed a delay to 2025 for me, because they used the term fiscal year. But I'm excited that they're just at least talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that too. So, I mean, I was thinking that that time frame just kind of lines up exactly how they did the original Switch, where they did kind of mention the successor and at this exact point in the year, like after like the March or April meeting or whatever it was, or even May now. But I was think it kind of makes sense that they could do like a little teaser in October if they want, but they may or may not even do that this time around just because of they don't want it to hurt those holiday sales. So I know the Wii U was a different story and it was already on life support well before like they even made the mention of the NX, but you just don't really know how things will be with this announcement timing.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting to see that like they've acknowledged it, but it's still most likely going to be quite a bit, later before we actually see any information about it. Like you're saying, I totally agree. Like why would they do anything that's going to capitalize any sales at all for holiday season? And so unless for some strange reason they're just throwing us off, which is probably not going to happen, the fiscal year could be this fall and they could release it in the holiday season. But like all the different rumors and everything have said, like they're probably, there's delays and everything. And honestly, I just keep kicking myself because I was this close to saying in my predictions that it was going to be waiting until 2025. I was that close. And I got scared and decided not going to do it. And I really should have. It had been the one that I get correct,
You know what, though?
that I'd be excited about.
If you did do it, though, then we would all turn to you and say, you brought this upon us. You're the reason. So
It's
while you would have
me.
been correct, you escaped the wrath.
Yeah. That's true, I guess. Yeah. So it'll be potentially 8 years since the Nintendo Switch launched, like for this Switch successor. 8 years.
I can't believe 8 years. Holy
like
time, slow down, hit the brakes. Let's go.
Yeah. 8 years. I can't remember off the top of my head. When was the last time we saw a cycle that long. Have we gotten 8 years before, or is it usually more like it's usually like 6 years, isn't it? Like 8
Well,
years is
Nintendo's
quite a long
usually been
time.
like 5. Like the
Yeah.
PS4 and the Xbox One were 7 years, so it was close. The Wii was 2006 to 12, so that was 6 years. So yeah, no, it's been a long one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now that's without continuing. Like obviously the PS4 is still going, decade
Sure.
later. So and I think the Switch is going to have the same momentum.
Yeah.
I don't see the Switch slowing down, but I do see the Switch just getting ports and remakes and lesser graphical games going forward once the successor's out there.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Yeah, I think that's definitely gonna happen, and yeah, depending on what they do, and like if we've talked a lot about speculated and kind of hoped that it is just like a next iteration of the Switch, and if that's the case, yeah, it'd be like the cheaper model that will still have a life beyond that. And it's not that it's not a horrible system. I think we've got to
No,
this point where it's still we're still clearly enjoying our gaming on the Nintendo Switch, but it would be nice to get this new system. And while everything else is like getting considerably better, I'm thinking like Apple just launched, or yeah, just announced and then launched the new iPads with this M4 processor, and it's like screaming so fast, and it's like, wow, like 8 years after the original Switch, what could this next Switch look like if they actually did put some power behind it over these 8 years? Greg, any hopes and dreams for this next Switch after we've been thinking about it for a while? Anything you've not shared yet on previous episodes?
I'm definitely hoping that it's backwards compatible with the current Switch. I know a lot of the rumors are suggesting that it is, both like the digital games along with the physical cartridge games. That would be definitely a thing that I would look forward to, so I can, if there is any lulls, I can still catch up on any of the Switch games that I haven't played, because there's just been way too many games and not enough time to play them all. But that's definitely a main thing there. I wonder if they'll be going a little bit bigger, so it's like closer to like a Wii U gamepad kind of size, because I know that was like a significant chunk thing that you were holding there. But um, I don't know. I do love the ergonomics of the Wii U gamepad much better than the Switch portably, because
Yeah.
I always use like the little adapter things or whatever, like make the grip thing. So
Yeah.
that'd be nice. I mean, I'm not huge into graphics. So, I mean, even so, if the screen just gets like bumped up, either to be slightly bigger, or more supportive of whatever 4K or OLED, that doesn't really bother me in the most or whatever. I mean, if they just want to still even use a similar screen that the one that's on the OG or the OLED Switch, that's more than fine. But I mean, hopefully the dock is a little bit more supportive to like that up to 4K res that we've been seeing rumored for the Switch Pro that was back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely think they do need to fix the online service, though, if they're no matter what they do.
That's for
But that's
sure.
more of a service and not necessarily a Switch thing.
Yeah, we've been saying that long before the Switch ever came out.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, I think when I think about the Switch successor, there's several things that come to my mind that some of them I've talked about on previous episodes. I want better frame rate. I think if we can get the system, like I'm okay, like you said, and handheld. I don't need to have 4K in my hands. Like 720, a crisp 720 looks fantastic on a small screen. If you want to bump it up to 1080p, that's fine. I don't need 4K in my hands. But I would like 120 frames per second, maybe higher. That'd be awesome. And I'd please, for my sake, please change the controller to have analog triggers. And fix that, Joy-Con drift that other people have had issues with. I haven't, but I don't know how. I'm one of the only people that's never had an issue with it. So fix those things and all that stuff. I was also thinking this. I don't know. I know some people have talked about it, but it doesn't seem like it's in the rumors. But I think it would be interesting now that foldable screens are becoming more of a thing on Samsung phones and other phones. If we're getting better at that, could it be that we could get that larger size, like you're talking about, Greg, but in a clamshell sort of experience, not necessarily a dual screen, but that it closes up, protects the screen, and then I can easily throw it in my bag without having to put it into a case or something. And then we unfold it, and we have an even bigger screen. So it's kind of like the best of both worlds a little bit. I've seen people talk about it in the past, but it hasn't been like at the front of all the rumors and everything. So maybe that's more of a hope and a dream, because hey, I don't necessarily want that on my phone per se, but it could be really fun on a game system. Any thoughts, Barry?
It's funny you mentioned the Joy-Con drift thing because, well, I never had it with my Joy-Cons because I didn't really use them much. One of my Pro controllers, which was a launch Pro controller, mind you, so we're talking a 7-year-old controller, finally has Joy-Con drift, and it hasn't been so bad. But I had a funny incident today where I was playing Xuanyuan Sword 7, and I was at the top of a cliff, and I just climbed the cliff, and I got to the top, and I put the controller down just for a second to take care of my little one. And next thing you know, I look at the screen and my character just turns towards me, and just falls right off the cliff because of the Joy-Con. I'm just like, son of a like, if I had just moved a little bit farther away. And it was just hilarious because it did it on its own. And I was laughing. I didn't
Turns
die or
toward
anything.
you and just like, too bad.
I'm gonna
Jump
do it.
off.
I'm gonna do it. And
It's
it
like
was
it
just
broke
like,
the fourth wall a little bit there.
yeah, it was really weird, and it is annoying to the point. I bought another controller, I just haven't swapped them yet, but it is annoying because it's like constantly fighting it, and certain games that do require precision, I can't use that controller.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
I agree. I definitely would love no Joy-Con. I'd love a lot of things. Fixing online's one thing, for sure. But I did see I forget where it was. People polled about the technology leap, and they were using PlayStation as an example. And like the leap between PS2 and PS3 was very, very big, and the leap between PS3 and PS4 was very big. But the leap between PS4 and PS5 is significantly smaller. And I know there's been rumors that it's going to be as powerful as a PS4, and some people are saying like, oh, it should be way more powerful than that. That system came out a decade ago, and I do agree in that regards. But it's not that big of a disparity between PS4 and 5, or Xbox One to Series. My biggest thing is I want it to be more powerful, not because I want more power, um, but I want it because it'd be easier to port. And I know they just bought Shiver, and that's probably one of the reasons they did. But if a system like in my job at Premium, we talk to developers all the time, and some of them are like, oh yeah, just to port this from PC to PS5 is push a button and it's done, and then we just just double check things. But to switch, we have to optimize it. It's so much more work, and the reason companies do that is because Switch games sell really well. But if that wasn't the case, if this was like the Switch was like the Wii U, there would be nothing on the Switch. It would be a ghost town. Because it's so difficult for some games, not every game, but a lot of games, it's more difficult to get it on the Switch now because of the older architecture. So for that reason alone, I would absolutely love to see it be easier for third parties to just be able to do cross-platform and just port games to the Switch too, significantly easier. And that means everyone gets a better experience, because I know there are some people who won't even play a game on the Switch because they feel it's a lesser version if there's a PlayStation or an Xbox version of the game. And in a lot of cases, that's true. There are plenty of games where when the game's on both systems, I will play the PS5 version because I know I'm going to get the better experience. And I play dock 99% of the time. Obviously, if I was playing handheld, that's a different story. I'm not a handheld gamer currently. Like, I've had a good stint of being able to park in front of my couch and relax. Now with a child, that might change when my TV's already losing time to Miss Rachel, so I'm sure that's going to continue. So there
We don't
very
have a
well
Miss
may.
Rachel video game yet, do we?
No, we do not.
It's only a matter of time.
It's only a matter of time. But so there I can definitely see me doing some more handheld stuff, just not with the Joy Cons because I hate those controllers. I use the bigger controllers,
Yeah.
but in that case, I absolutely want it to look good.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because I had a launch Vita that, and I didn't play it as much as I would have liked, but every time I picked up the Vita, it always wowed me. It was always, wow, look at the screen, look at these graphics. Like, this is really impressive. And that system really was ahead of its time. And every time I am portable with the Switch OLED, I get the same, wow, look at this. This looks great. And my wife always teases me because I got the OLED Switch and I play 99% docked. And it's true, it is pretty funny. So I would love to see them enhance the handheld experience and keep the handheld experience good, but also have the docked experience be significantly better. Like, I remember when the Switch was first shown off, everyone speculated the dock was going to upscale. The dock was going to have some components to it. And then we got the dock and we're like, there's nothing here. And yes, games do run a little bit better and higher res when docked.
Power.
That is true.
That's it.
But it's just power.
Yep.
And that's it. And so it's like, I want to see a dock that actually does something.
Yeah.
Put some meat and potatoes in there. And the other difference is when the Switch launched, there was nothing to compete with. The 3DS was still alive. The Vita was dead virtually. So it was
There wasn't
almost
a Steam Deck.
There wasn't a Steam. Now there's a Steam Deck, and there's competitors to the Steam Deck of portable PCs. So there is competition, and they absolutely have to look at that, and they have to make the Switch to the place to go, because the Steam Deck's library is ridiculously huge. It's just ridiculously huge. So they need to absolutely come out swinging in that regards, in my opinion.
Yeah, it seems like that's probably their biggest target. I would say if I were Nintendo, I would be paying attention to what Sony and Xbox are doing, but I'd really set my sights on Steam, because that's where I feel like I would want to go as Nintendo. I want to be that. I want to have a gigantic library of games. Like, this is the go-to system for people that want to play in both situations, play on the go and at home, and have this vast library of games that can compete maybe with Xbox and PlayStation. It doesn't have to be better than them, but at least compete with them and be more on par with what Steam's offering. Like, that's, like, in my mind, that would be a really good business direction to go. And that's where I'd love to see it, because their games, like, you do have this vast library of Nintendo games. And then if you also have these third parties too, that in a system that's really capable of going, and doing all that stuff without a lot of optimization needed, it could be a really fun experience.
Especially with games like we were talking about, like Mortal Kombat 1 earlier, where it is as weird as that game looked, at least at launch, it was still impressive that it was on the Switch. And on Hogwarts Legacy too, what Shiver also did. But if you had a PS5 or an Xbox One or Series X, like, you're way better off playing. Like, I played Mortal Kombat 1, I played it on the PS5 because it was a better experience and a vastly better experience. And that's it. We shouldn't sit here as Nintendo fans and say Nintendo should settle for impressive that it's on my system and it's the weakest of the versions out there, but at least it's here. It should settle for, hey, our version, if it's not one for one, it's so close you couldn't tell unless you were looking side by side, and our version's also portable.
Yeah. As a Nintendo fan, I am tired of those side by side comparisons that we see online, and Nintendo's always been the worst. Like, it's been happening for years and years and years. It finally gets brought over, but it's the worst of the versions. So, go in the chat real quick, and it says Zev Zero's asking, the real question is, do we get Metroid Prime 4 this year, or does it come out on Switch 2 launch instead? Greg, what do you think?
I mean, I know my prediction was that it was going to, like that we did earlier in January, that it was going to hit on both systems. So I'm still feeling pretty confident about that. It just depends if they'll want to release it earlier on Switch. Like I think the Wii U version of Breath of the Wild came out after the Switch one.
No, same day. Same day.
Oh, was it the same day? Okay.
You're thinking of Twilight Princess. That came out on Wii launch, and it was a month later for GameCube.
Yeah, that's what it was. So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they do something like that, but then again, that might hurt the Switch 2 if it came out after Switch version. But I don't know. I already see them kind of just trying to commit to both. If they can't obviously if it's way too complex and it can only be on Switch 2, then that's be the kind of case it is. But I think best case is that they try to get it to run on both systems.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Enhanced
it has
enhanced
to.
edition. What should they think of Barry?
No, it has to be on both because they already talked about it being on Switch. So people did buy the Switch back in 2017 for Metroid Prime 4. Now, what I
Right.
do see
Yeah. I
happening,
mean, yeah. Yeah. My question is, yeah, do they have two different versions essentially? Like it's
so
enhanced on Switch 2.
okay, so that's a really interesting question, and that boils down to is Nintendo going to be able to do what Xbox does, or is it going to be what Sony does? And
Hmm.
what I mean by that is if you buy a physical Xbox game today, most likely it's on both systems, both the Xbox One and the Series X, and you get one disc. And if you put that disc in an Xbox One, it installs the Xbox One version. But if you put it in a Series X, it installs the Series X version. Versus Sony, where the PS4 and the PS5 version are sold completely separate. So that begs the question, if Nintendo is able to follow Microsoft and do some kind of one card, if it's put in a Switch, it's the Switch version, and the Switch 2, it's a Switch 2 version, that's a win across the board for everybody. Everybody. If they can't do that and they do a Metroid Prime 4 and Metroid Prime 4 Enhanced as two separate releases, which is probably what they're going to do, then it's still a win for everybody, but not as big of a win because now it's like, well, I don't have a Switch 2 yet. Now I'm not playing the enhanced. I waited 8 years for the non-enhanced
Mm-hmm.
version of the game. And I can already see this now in the direct, like announcing like Metroid Prime 2 and 3 remastered or something, and they're going to start Metroid, and everyone's going to get excited, Metroid Prime 4, and then they're going to instantly get disappointed that it's not.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I think it'd be interesting to. So at this point, I think, are we all in agreement that it won't just be for Switch, and then you can also
Yeah.
play on Switch 2? It'll be there'll be a version for Switch 2 that is better than the Switch version. We're just not sure like what that's going to look like.
Higher
But
frame rate, at the very least.
but there will be two different versions of the game, whether it's on the same console or same cartridge or not. That's a different story. But there will be two different versions of Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah, I mean, knowing Nintendo, they do like to try to print the entire game on the cartridge and not necessarily just download and install. So that's the only thing that they couldn't do. But I mean, if the rumors are true with like this account thing with the Switch and being able to play the digital Switch games on the Switch 2, then they could potentially do something like that. But that I don't really see that as their main option. I see it more like how they've always done it, like with Twilight Princess and also with like a Breath of the Wild too, where it's just two completely separate versions for two different systems.
Yeah.
Well, now here's another question. Let's say they're two separate cartridges, a Metroid Prime for Switch and a Metroid Prime for Switch 2. If you were to have the Switch version and play it in a Switch 2, will it be enhanced anyway, like the certain 3DS games were enhanced in a new 3DS, for example?
That's what I'm wondering, really. Like, so because I'm like, I could see them. I mean, there's a plethora of all the different ideas of how this could go down. Like, it could just be they release one version of the game and it is enhanced when you put it in the Switch 2, but it's the original when you put it in the original Switch. Or they're two different versions of the game that are both on the same cartridge, or like, is it two different, completely different cartridges? Like, I feel like there's so many different directions they could go. I don't know.
There's rumors that like there's a Breath of the Wild enhanced version with all the DLC coming to Switch 2, which is so funny because we had Wii U ports and some people groaned about that, but that made sense. Now we're gonna have Switch ports to the Switch 2 enhanced version. And if that's the case and that rumor is true, then I absolutely see Metroid Prime 4 having a separate enhanced version for the Switch 2.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is that Nintendo has stated, Virco has stated that they are remaining committed to physical media in the Switch successor. So that has been stated in their
Financial
QA,
yeah, that's the financial Q&A and everything, the fiscal results and stuff. They've stated they are remaining committed to physical media. So Barry, I know this makes you happy.
Absolutely.
But yeah, Greg, any thoughts toward this?
I mean, I think it's just great to have the option because, I mean, not everyone likes to have just digital versions, and it's always great to be able to have something that you can hold. And obviously, if there's a game that you're just wanting to try out and you're trying to see if you want Barbie's Big Adventure is good for you, and then you might be like, well, you know what, I don't really like this game anymore. I want to sell it to GameStop or any other insert any other local store that you have or whatever. Like to get rid of it. Like you should be able to do that, and that's the main thing with the digital version is you can't really do that. Yes, you can delete it, but you don't get any money back for it or anything like that. Where you can get a secondhand sale by either selling it to a friend or selling it to a business like GameStop or any of the local stores. So I'm still happy to see them supporting the physical side, even if like Best Buy and stuff won't be necessarily carrying the cartridges, but it's still great that they'll be made and still produced and everything.
Yeah. And it is interesting though that they said we hope to continue to make further improvements and innovations in the future. And so as they're thinking about both physical and digital download versions of games, hoping to continue to innovate in the future. Are they going to have two different versions? Are they going to now allow you to trade in digital? I mean, are they going to innovate that way? I don't know. What are you thinking, Barry?
I don't know. Really, this can go multiple ways. And the nice thing is that they've had the ability to watch Sony and Microsoft. So, like I said, if they can do a special card for the Switch 2 that also can fit into the Switch and you can get both versions on the same, that'd be great. If it's a Switch version and you put it in the Switch 2, will it be enhanced like I've mentioned the 3DS games to the new 3DS, or will it be like the PlayStation 5, where if you put a PS4 version of a disc into a PS5 and there's a PS5 version, you can download the PS5 version and play the PS5 version as long as you have the PS4 disc in there. And that actually applies to some games that don't even have a physical PS5 but a physical PS4. You can play the PS5 version that way, which I've done with Altilia Ryza 2, and it was really neat. So there are benefits to that. Of course, that only works if the server exists. Otherwise, it's just the PS4 version on the disc. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. Another asset of having the physical media, which doesn't apply to us nearly as much because we're adults, but especially for kids and young adults that don't have extra money to purchase a game. Maybe they'll get one game or two games for a birthday or something, and their friend gets a different game that they want to try, and you could trade games. You could say, hey, you borrow this for a week, I'll borrow your game for a week, and allows you to expand your horizons. And I know some people say, well, just get Game Pass and you could do something similar. And yeah, it's not the same though. And you can't do Game Pass on Switch anyway. So if you're a Nintendo gamer, you know, there's a lot of pros, there's a lot of cons to everything. But as for what Nintendo's going to innovate, look, none of us expected the Switch, none of us expected the 3DS, none of us expected the Wiimote. There's been innovation in almost every Nintendo platform. I mean, come on, the lunchbox handle in the GameCube, no one saw that coming. I mean, and to come back and be the inheritance to the Switch is the GameCube's contribution. Well, fantastic. But Nintendo knows what we want before we know. They're brilliant over there. So I'm just excited for what it is, and I just hope it's nothing that bites them or me. I just hope it's something that I'm like, wow, that was really good, and not what were they thinking. So I guess we'll find out.
Does happen sometimes.
I don't know. I mean, I always am pretty impressed. I mean, I'm still like a Wii U defender. Like I thought that was an excellent console. Like did it sell millions and trillions of units? No, but I still really thought it was a pretty solid system for what it was. I mean, I wish it had more games? Of course. I mean, there was lots of droughts because there wasn't a lot of people that was as passionate as I was about it. But I still think that brought a lot of great games, and it was even still great that they even ended up moving most of those over to the Switch, just because they were actually good quality games. Just not a lot of people played them and were able to enjoy them.
The Wii U was a great system. I 100% agree with you. It was the marketing that failed that system, not the system. Marketing.
Yeah, some of it was the system, but
It was like, Yeah, if it takes like 2 minutes to load up the
Yeah.
OS,
then
oh yeah, that was annoying.
That was kind of a problem, but
But yeah, it was both marketing and so much. You can only do so much with it, and finally, they innovated it in a really cool way. But the Wii U allowed us to get to Switch, which I think was
exactly, yep.
it wasn't amazing, but it was a really good step to get us where we are today, for sure.
Yeah, they essentially just removed the tether from the Wii U to the TV and just, okay, here you go. You can take this on the go now.
Yeah. Gaming Mechanic says in the chat, with what Sony has done with digital media, I'm all for Nintendo keeping physical media as well. So that's another reason why I don't really do too much with my Sony thing. I have a PS4 that basically sits over there and collects dust, and that's all it does anymore.
You mean you don't like buying digital movies and stuff and then losing access to them and them just taking your money and running?
Yeah, I haven't bought a digital movie in a really long time. Most of the things they're on streaming services, or I buy the DVD or Blu-ray. Or DVD. I don't remember the last time I bought a DVD. Why did I say that? Yeah. Blu-ray.
Oh, there's some stuff that's only on DVD.
Yeah, I haven't bought a DVD in years.
It's so funny. People are like, "Oh, streaming," but if you really want like the best picture and the best sound, a 4K Blu-ray will give you way better than any streaming service.
Yeah,
because it's native to the
like
internet.
Audio is the same way. Like music, man, if you want still the best sound is on a CD. Like
I still buy CDs.
Streaming, like you can stream like some really good lossless music now, and it's getting a lot better. But CD quality is amazing.
Yeah, and you can burn your CDs, so you can get the best of both worlds. You still get the digital version, but you still own the physical CD.
Burn your own mix CD.
Oh, you just download it to your computer, put on your iPhone. Yeah. But yeah, but what about mix? We should do that. Mix CDs. NintendoFuse's top 10 hits.
That'd be fun. We could just create a playlist online. It is so much easier.
Watch out, Billboard, we're coming for you.
That's right. That's right. Going back to that tweet from Furukawa, though, it says that we are, as we said, getting a Nintendo Direct in June. So, what is going to be announced at this Nintendo Direct? What are you guys thinking that could be there? Because I mean, we really don't have a whole lot left. Does like Nintendo have anything up their sleeves that they haven't told us about yet? I guess there's enough for a Direct, and it's going to be a full Direct, I would assume. So it's not going to be this little mini thing or a partner Direct or anything like that. So, Greg, what do they got to show?
I mean, unfortunately, I think that's going to be more like smaller and filler titles, kind of similar to like the Championship Edition, and also kind of like how we got like Princess Peach early this year and Luigi's Mansion 2. I feel like it's going to be potentially a little bit more like either port heavy or like a remastered kind of heavy type list. I know we already alluded to Metroid Prime 4 being shown. I mean, I'm thinking that's going to be their capstone thing to close off the Direct, I would like to think, unless they had to like reboot development once again, which I obviously hope not. But I think that's definitely going to be the main takeaway from the Direct. But I expect like smaller titles, whether it's like another Mario Party game or like even a Mario sports game, to be those smaller titles that kind of fit the bill, or if they're just saying, you know what, let's bring over Xenoblade Chronicles X, let's move over some like a few of those other games that have been highly prophesized to come over, like Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD, and a few of those last Wii U exclusives that haven't been made it over yet.
Yeah, basically putting Shiver Entertainment to good use the latter half of this year, maybe. Barry, what do you think? What are they going to show off?
I definitely think we're going to see a lot of ports and remakes, because I feel anything new they're going to want to save for the Switch 2, unless it's a smaller title like Nintendo World Championships, or it's a title that's been in development for so long, like Endless Ocean and Princess Peach Showtime, which had to be in development for, at least a year or two beforehand. I do think there's two things to take away. One is the fact that they state for the second half of this year, and I'm wondering, is this it? Are we going to get a September Direct, or is this is it for the latter half of this year entirely? So that's one question. And the other thing about content, the fact that they showed the Nintendo World Championship for July and the trailer and everything outside of a direct, usually when they do that, there is no direct. We say, oh, there's not going to be a direct because they did this. But there is a direct, it's confirmed, and this is out of it, which tells me they've got enough to carry at least August onwards. And if that's the case, again, will we get a September direct? So I'm leaning towards this being a big direct in terms of content, because we know nothing outside of now Nintendo World Championship and potentially Luigi's Mansion 2, depending on when in June it drops. That's a lot of content and a lot of time to cover, especially when you make a statement saying we want to sell 13 million units this fiscal year, and all you have in this fiscal year is Endless Ocean, Luminous, Paper Mario Remake, Luigi's Mansion Remake, and Nintendo World Championships. You're not getting 13 million units out of those. They're not bad games, they're fun games, but you need system sellers. You need something there. So they have something up their sleeve. Absolutely. Do I think we're going to see the Zelda Twilight Princess Wind Waker? Yes. I think eventually they're going to come. Do I think Metro Prime 2 and 3? Yes. Do I think Xenoblade X? Yes. Do I believe some other ports that we're probably not thinking of? Maybe Mario Galaxy 2? Sure, why not? But I don't think we're going to see Metroid Prime 4. I think they're going to save Metroid Prime 4 for their January showcase for the Switch 2, and that's when it's going to pop up. And they're going to use that as a pillar title. That's my prediction. I could be wrong. But
Yeah.
if we're talking about a simultaneous launch with the Switch 2 and it's pushed to 2025, and they specifically say the Direct is for the latter half of 2024, I do not see them breaking that to tease something for next year. I don't.
Yeah.
But you have
I could
to
be wrong.
kind of, you always have to look through the terminology. How many directs we've had, like, oh, this titles will mostly focus on spring games for whatever 2023,
Oh, yeah.
and then it's like, oh, here's a game that's coming out like October, or at least unknown at the
Oh, yeah.
time, or later this year or early next year. Like, it's not
You're
going to
right.
only. I
That's
mean,
true.
so they can still easily show off
Hey,
Metroid Prime 4, just
so
not have it could just be like holiday 2024, or it could be like spring 2025. I mean, there's
the
not really there's a timeline on certain things like that.
the partner direct we got earlier this year had Endless Ocean in it, and that's a Nintendo first party game.
Very
So
true.
you're 100% right, Greg, and it very well could. I don't see the advantage at this point to doing that, because they want to build those holiday sales. They don't want
Yeah.
to talk about next year. Now if there was a September direct, then I can see it, because Nintendo does not want to show off Metroid Prime 4 now ever again until it is ready to come out. They
Yeah.
made that mistake in 2017. They had to course correct it with that little video. They do not, like, the next time they talk about that game better be fully shown, fully playable, ready to go within a month or two. They will get chewed up if they go, here it is, we're showing it off in June, you can buy it in May. People
Yeah.
will not care.
Yeah.
They absolutely cannot even acknowledge that game until it's ready at this point.
That's true. Watch the Nintendo Direct in June just be a Nintendo World Championships Direct, and we'll see more information about the NES version and also an SNES version that's coming out. And by the way, here's like 10 ports that we're also releasing this year. That's
No,
it.
I think World Champions will be shown in the Direct in a sizzle reel or something, like upcoming
Yeah.
games. I think it'll be there, and
Easily.
potentially Luigi's Mansion 2 in the same regards, depending on when
Sure.
the Direct happens, but not showpieces.
Yeah. Yeah. And I could see us having another direct later in the year, but not a full direct. It's either be a partner showcase or a mini direct, I feel like. And it might be who knows, another Mario movie direct or something like that, because we'll probably have a Mario sequel or something like that they'll be showing off as well. Yeah, Zev Zero's asking, like, isn't it time for new Wario Land to come out near the end of a system's life, which might be that. Maybe that's what we're going to get at this direct.
I mean, it really also depends on like timing. I mean, they could still have a September direct, but it also depends on if they release the Switch Successor news like in August or whatever. I mean, they can easily still do their combined directs that they used to do with the Wii U and the 3DS way back when. So they can still do that, but it really depends on when they're planning on releasing all this information.
Yeah.
If they are holding tight till like 2025, like in January, like we've already kind of said, then the likelihood of a September direct is already kind of like shot, especially if it's all being released here in June, because I'm sure the September one will just be rehashing, like, oh, remember back in June we revealed this game, and then like, oh, here's another video, like another new trailer for it or something. It's not going to be as quite as exciting, but it really depends on what they do have up their sleeve and if what they're and when they are planning on announcing the successor to see if we do get a second direct like this later this year.
It's true. Greg, so you thinking that even though they say fiscal year, that they could actually possibly announce this later in 2024 for Switch Successor?
I mean, I think that there's a possibility of it, but I'm also on the side of caution. Especially if they're trying to hit this holiday target, then um, they would probably need to like have that more like August or September, like, and not like really like right before the holiday to immediately sink the ship. But um, it could just be something simple like they did with the NX in October, where it was just like a very small teaser trailer and just led to speculation, and then have like the super deep dive in January. So
Yeah.
it could be something along either of those lines, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was this year, but I also wouldn't not going to be majorly disappointed if they are holding it for after the holiday season in January for like the big January deep dive.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm at the point where I'm like, I'm with you. I'm all for getting news earlier, but I'm going to keep my, expectations low. But yeah, I mean, this fiscal year could mean September. I mean, it probably not, but it could. And if so, announce it in September, release it in November. I'm all for it. Bring it on.
That very well could happen, and I think June's direct is going to be the deciding factor.
Mm-hmm.
We have to that was where we looked at the spring and we said, looking at all the games, they're all happening before the end of June. There's nothing for the second half, and it was wide open for a Switch 2. If there's no delay, then we're still good. If there is a delay, then they have to fill it with something.
Right.
So if they give us enough in this June direct to cover the entire half of this year, and for coverage, Nintendo really just needs one big game a month. And so far, they've done that. Technically, there was no game in April, but Endless Ocean was the very beginning of May. So if you push that back a little bit, you can count that as the April game. Every single month has had a Nintendo game. Another Code, Mario vs. Donkey Kong, Princess Peach, Endless Ocean. Now we have Paper Mario. Next month is Luigi's Mansion, and then Nintendo World Championship. So all they have to do is give us 5 more games, and they've covered every month.
It's really true, which is really funny to think about, because you think about like, oh man, they're like, they're winding down. They're not really releasing much, but they're still popping out some quality games in the midst of the system being on what we're calling its last legs. It's really they really do have quite a bit left, and still they have this giant catalog of games that I haven't even come close to touching all of them. And Barry's whole basement's filling up with them. So
I'm running out of room.
You need a bigger house.
That's right.
Actually, that's one of the things I was thinking about. Like, as a Switch full set collector, if the Switch keeps going for another 3-4 years, like, I might have to abandon this goal, and if the Switch 2 gets like Switch and Switch 2, then I'll be still buying the inferior Switch versions, and as well as the better Switch. Now Switch 2, I'm just doing the games I absolutely want to play. But when it's a Mario game and it's on both systems, and I had to buy it twice, it's like, oh no, this is. I may have to rethink the Nintendo, but I'm so far in this rabbit hole, I have to wait and see.
Nice. Well, speaking of games, let's talk about the upcoming games that are coming out over the next couple weeks. And there's not really a whole lot of like big games that we're going to be talking about, but there are a few, and we're going to be scrolling them on the screen again. Thanks to Metacritic for providing this list for us. Scarlet Tower is coming out on May 23rd, as well as a little game called Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door. That remake is also coming out on May 23rd for Nintendo Switch, but there's not a lot of like really big games that jumped out to me on this list. But maybe there are a couple that jumped out to you. Greg, what are you hoping to be playing over the next couple weeks? Anything new, or are you gonna hop on that backlog?
Pretty much just for sure Paper Mario. So I do have the GameCube version, but I actually never had booted it up. So I am looking forward to checking out the remake, and I was really been hoping over these past few weeks to be finishing up the 64 version, but I don't know if I'll have that complete in time. But I do want to at least try to get those two um, played, and I'll probably at least be picking up the Thousand-Year-Old Door like pretty much on release, because I know that's just been the highlight of everyone saying it's the best Paper Mario game in existence, and that's the only one that I haven't played. So, really hoping to be enjoying that one over the next few weeks.
Nice. Jakester in the chat says you're going to be finish Live Alive, start Paper Mario, and continue Fire Emblem Engage and Tears of the Kingdom. Barry, how about you?
Yeah, so obviously Paper Mario is the big one. I will be trying to finish Wanyan Sword 7 before then, so I've got a day or a little bit depending on when the delivery guy gets there to try and finish that up before Paper Mario. But that is the big one. Obviously you mentioned Scarlet Tower. I've already been playing the hell out of that. I love that game, and we're doing the physical, so make sure to pre-order that. But do give him some love too. Douglas is a great guy. And there was a Star Wars Hunters game that I saw on there, and I forgot about that. That's I think a free to play game, and I don't know. I might mess around with that and see how that is, because I think it's mobile and Switch only. Like, it's not on other consoles.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll see how that goes.
That's true. Yeah, I pre-ordered it. Pre-ordered, a free game. And
I didn't even realize you could do that.
Yeah, you can. And I did it like, I don't know, a week or two ago when it was announced. And then today I got the email from Nintendo saying my pre-order went through. I was like, didn't I do that already? I'm so confused. But yeah, I forgot about it, which I'm glad I pre-ordered it, because I kind of forgot about the game existing, and then I got the email, and I don't know. So it's supposedly, it's going to pop up on my Switch, I guess, when it's available. But yeah, we've got lots of different games that we're going to be talking about soon on game chats and stuff. So that's basically my goal, is to catch up on a lot of games that I have not been playing for game chats. Try to catch up as much as I can. So Tadpole Trouble, Wizardry, Building Simulator. I'm hoping to get some time with the Cat Quest 3 demo and the Europa demo and some other demos that I've downloaded as well. So yeah, that's probably of new games, that's going to probably be occupying my time that I haven't played yet. But probably also going to be, of course, playing some Rocket League and other existing games like Pokemon Go and stuff like that as well. But yeah, maybe, I don't know. I keep saying that I want to hop over on NSO, but it hasn't happened yet. It's not a big draw for me to go there. I'm like, they're games that are already there. Like, I'll eventually maybe play them when I got a few extra minutes, but it's been a long time since I've opened any of those NSO apps. I'm like, I'm happy they're there, but that's about it.
I almost kind of wish there was like a actual like icon for all of those NSO apps, like almost like a permanent on the home screen thing, because like I feel like I kind of forget about them and don't really think twice about it, and then like, oh well, now I want to go play whatever Paper Mario 64 now I have to go dive into all software, scroll down for like 20 minutes, and like, oh, there it is.
Yeah,
like, and then
that's
the
a good
app
idea.
opened.
Because like, That's what like Xbox does that for Game Pass. You have a static button that's always up there for all the games that exist in Game Pass, and yeah, a Nintendo Switch Online button on the home menu is a great idea. Greg, you should send that in. Say, hey, Nintendo, here's this one's for free.
Yeah, if you click it, it just opens up a new little window and shows all the individual icons to pick or something.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I like that idea. By the way, I just pre-ordered Star Wars Hunters. I didn't do the
Yeah.
$15 thing for the cosmetics.
Oh no,
or
I got the
whatever.
free version. Yeah,
Free
for
one.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, I pre-ordered that Cat Quest 3 that I already said, and then like, that's not being delivered until August. So like, it hasn't even showed up on my console like as a download. So I think they have that period when they like wait for the game to be fully accepted and like loaded on their servers, and then they send it over most of it or whatever, except for the actual startup thing, and then you're able to play it like on release day.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because I did like pre-order the Nintendo Championships digital edition, at least initially. I'll probably end up canceling it since I got the physical, but that hasn't like pre-loaded yet either, too. So
nice. Yeah, it's been. I don't know. I'm in this weird place. I don't know if you guys are too. Like I'm excited about the next Switch, like because I just get excited about those things. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm so far backlogged on games that I haven't played that are already out that I'm like, like I don't need this. I want it, but I don't need it because I've got plenty of games to still play that I have not even touched yet.
Oh, I'm definitely right there with you. I mean, there's so many games that I need to play more of. Like Jake's just saying to play Fire Emblem Engage. Like I stopped that only after like the first few chapters, and here I am being a Fire Emblem fan and not even like really even playing much of the game. And I did have a little bit more time to even play that one too, but I just kind of fell to the wayside. And then once it hits that backlog status, then it just kind of like it's like in another world type thing, and then you don't really even think about it.
What's funny is I'm not a big Fire Emblem guy, and I even beat that one. I didn't do the DLC, but I beat Engage.
Yeah. I found I think I've talked about this before too. It's really interesting because I keep finding myself like going back, and I think I've done this with other games in the past. Is there's always like a handful of games that I keep going back to over and over and over again. For a long time, it was Smash Brothers. Like any Smash Brothers game, like that was my go-to game. If I had a few extra minutes, I would more than likely go to Smash Brothers rather than go play another existing game that I'd have to start up and go through this adventure or whatever. And then it became Mario Kart for a long time. And then I went back to Smash Brothers, and lately it's been games like Rocket League, where like if I've got some time to just sit down for a few minutes, I'll gravitate to those games rather than going to a new game. And I don't know what it is about that, but that's just like how I've been gaming lately. Is I find myself like gravitating to this small set of games that I can always go back to, rather than wanting to go to brand new games and learn them and focus and all that stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, see, I'm excited for the new Switch and I'm ready for the new experience. And while I have a big backlog, it's one of those things where I prioritize new game, and then when there's lulls between new games that I want to play, that's when I go back to the backlog. Like this past 2 weeks has been a lull. Ever Endless Ocean to Paper Mario, nothing came out that I was really interested in playing, which is why I went into the anime instead. If I didn't do the anime, I would have went to the backlog and I would have pulled a game out and went back. And I was thinking about doing like Shin Megami Tensei 5, finishing that. I never finished it before Vengeance comes out. And I was even thinking about doing Paper Mario again, just like, oh, maybe I'll do that as well. And I never did. I opted for something new. So I hear that there's so many new games, there's so many great games. Cat Quest is one of those I did during those lulls. I'm like, you know what? Let me try this. I have the 2-pack, and I put it in and I played through both games and I absolutely loved it. So I think everyone games differently, but there's always that thrill of finding a backlog game or even a game you didn't know was going to be a backlog game and discovering it and going, wow, this game came out 3 years ago and I'm just playing it now and it's fantastic. Like I'm having such a good time. and that will be the rest of our lives. At the rate that games come out, it's stupid at this point.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's good news, bad news that the market is saturated now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I only pray for like a lull on the Switch 2 like thing, but I don't think that we're gonna see that again like we did with like the Wii U and 3DS, where it was just like, oh, the 3DS is not launching with any first-party titles, and the first one is Ocarina of Time Remaster, and it's like
What
you
are
have
you
all this
talking
time to
about?
like,
The 3DS launched with 3 first-party titles.
it wasn't like
Steel
any like main
Diver, Pilot Wings Resort, and Nintendogs and Cats were all
yeah.
first-party Nintendo games.
Yay!
I didn't
Hey,
mean that
Pilot Wings
literally.
Resort was fun.
I meant like more like the heavy hitter style games, like a Mario game, a Zelda game, and like a Metroid or something like Kirby, something like
Oh yeah,
mainstay,
Yeah.
not like the lesser franchises.
Oh yeah, Steel Diver as well. Jesse Glenn
I
jumped
said
in
Steel
there.
Diver.
Oh,
I
okay.
said Steel Diver, Pilot Wings Resort, and Nintendogs and Cats.
That's true.
Because that's
Yeah.
why I didn't get the 3DS at launch, is because I did none of those games really
There's
had
no
much
huge
interest.
draw. Yeah. Yeah, I think we're definitely beyond all of that. Definitely beyond going, oh, what else do I got in my game of the year? I guess Happy Home Designer. Yeah, not going to be happening anymore.
You know what the sad thing is, though? Pilot Wings is a fantastic series, and every single game in the Pilot Wings series has been a launch title, and we have not gotten one since the 3DS, and that's really a shame because
Switch 2.
they're awesome. I hope
And
so. I'd love to see Pilot Wings come back.
That'd be cool.
I haven't played any of the Pilot Wings games, 0 of them.
Oh my god,
Not the
so
64
good.
one. And
64 is great. I booted that up on the NSO just to fly around the United States and shoot Mount Rushmore.
Okay.
No, seriously, you don't know what happens with that?
No.
Oh yeah, there's Easter eggs. If you shoot Mount
Okay.
Rushmore, the Mario character faces appear instead of
Spoiler
the
bear-
presidents.
Spoiler
Kind of
berries
seems
on
a little
on
weird
again.
that that's what you're supposed to shoot.
Spoiler from 1996. Come on, it's almost 30 years.
That's
No,
funny.
there's a bunch of different things. I mean, Pilot Wings, you had missiles, and like back then it was like a 3D flying space, and you were just like missiling everything. Like there was no destruction, but it was just like you was cool. Like, hey, I'm in a Nintendo game firing missiles at landscapes.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't play it for I played I think all of them, but I haven't played them to like the full extent. I never owned any of them, but I played them all. So,
They're so good.
yeah, I enjoyed
Yeah,
what I played. It just
I never
owned
owned
them.
or played.
Oh, the original in 64 on NSO.
That's true. Yeah. So technically now you own them or have access
You own two
to
of
them.
them. Yeah, Super Nintendo and then 64.
Yeah. Well, it's been a great episode. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please don't forget to check out magicmind.com/NintendoFuse and use that code NintendoFuse20 for 20% off your one-time purchase or 48% off your next subscription. And you can find the link in the YouTube description and also the podcast show notes. We're going to be back with our next episode on June 4th. June 4th. Hard to believe it's almost June already. But June 4th, 2024, we'll be back with episode 293. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube, but also on your favorite podcast app or service out there. And yeah, we'll catch you next time. Any closing thoughts, Barry?
You know what? Happy gaming, everybody. I hope you're having a great time. Hope you're excited for Paper Mario. And if you're not, hope you're excited for whatever you're playing currently. And I always say, premiumeditiongames.com. Come get your next best physical hidden gem right now. Tons of great ones in stock.
Cool. Greg, any closing thoughts for you?
Just happy gaming, everyone, and catch you in June.
Yeah.
Also, want to give a quick congratulations to Serenity Forge. Their 10-year anniversary just happened. So 10 years of doing awesome work. So I love that they do more physical. They put out a lot of great stuff. They Shadows Over Loathing and West of Loathing and stuff like that. Like, keep it up. So just a quick congratulations to all our friends over there.
That's cool. That's cool. And big shout out to all of you who joined us in our live chat. Jesse Glenn, Jakester. Let me scroll back through here and make sure I catch everybody. Zev Zero, the Gaming Mechanic, And I believe, I think that's all the people that jumped into the chat. I know there was others watching live, but yeah, you never jumped in live and joined us in live chat. Please do that. We record every other Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Time. And yeah, we'll catch you on the next one, recording live on June 4th, 2024. Until then, happy gaming, everybody.